start the class and end the class within like days if they have the knowledge ahead of time?
Uh, yeah, that is in theory possible, highly unlikely that a student would complete coursework that quickly. What will happen is in each course they take, in order to earn quarter credit in a course, they'll have to show proficiency in 4 main topics within that quarter that the teacher has set forward, as well as apply their learning through a project or 2 projects, depending on the scope of those projects. So that's kind of the layout for every course at Launch High School. And so if a student is able to, if they already knew the material and able to demonstrate proficiency very quickly, and are able to go through then and apply their learning through a project, that is really the only constraint. There's not a time constraint on it. It's simply based on how they can demonstrate mastery of the topics and apply the learning.
So yeah, I definitely love the idea. I have a question though. Will there be like student government and everything like that in Launch?
Steve, you want to address some of our thoughts, our discussion on where you'd like to go with student government?
Yeah, we think student government's great. Launch High School is not going to be set up to have a student government per se, as the big high schools are. Originally, we just assumed that kids that wanted to attend Launch would be able to participate on the off days at their Boundary High School and their government class, their student government, however that's supposed to work. But we're hearing that that's not always the case. And whether that's unfortunate, but yeah, Launch High School will not be offering the student government. However, if you are interested in being a leader at our school, I think there will be several opportunities, just like there would be on your Boundary, your time at the Boundary High School, right? So you're at Launch on a day, you're at the Boundary High School on the next day. Maybe you couldn't run for student body office, one of the offices, but I know that there would be ways for you to serve and be involved in the school. So I hope that's helpful. Will we offer student body or student government opportunities in the future at Launch? Possibly, I don't know. That's not something we're doing this first year for sure. But I do know there were some questions circulating about that and some misinformation. But that's what we've learned is that one of the high schools anyway, I believe, I don't remember if it was both or one of them, you couldn't participate in the student government at that school because you would be gone every other day. And so you'd miss out on 50% of the activities that they may need you for. So I get that. It makes sense. It's kind of a difficult situation to navigate through, but the answer is we will not have a formal student government at Launch High School. We will have something, where kids are leaders, kids are being involved, kids are helping with tours and things like that when visitors come to the building, and we will have areas. And if watching this video that Corey just showed, that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to provide something where kids are leading the way, and we're just there for support. Good question.
Great. Any other feedback about our vision so far? I'm just trying to answer some of the questions in the chat as well. Any other feedback on our vision for being student-centered?
I personally, this is Ethan Key's mom. I personally think it's awesome. I love the fact that this is going to be to not just educate, but implement and take action and raise leaders that are looking for ways to make the world a better place. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, any other comments or feedback? Thank you for your comments. Steve and I will read through these about student government as well. That's certainly something that to be discussed further, I think. So,
This is Chanel, James Saunders' mom, and I'm looking in the Zoom chat because there was something that we have been asking as well, but I'm trying to look for it. Oh, it's from Matt. Sorry, I can't say your name, but it says, will Launch have the mentorship with MSc Aerospace for Credit and Learning? Which I don't know what that is, not incredibly interested, but if maybe touch on that for him. But also, this is what I am interested in. What businesses have signed up to assist students in hands-on projects? Because it was my understanding that maybe the kids would have internships or be able to do projects with businesses.
yeah, absolutely. So there is a plethora of businesses that have joined in partnership with Launch to offer partnership projects, which are projects that are focused on the needs of the business, as well as mentor students on their curricular projects where they want to apply something that relates to their business. And I can talk more about the different roles of partners, including internships, but suffice to say that there's a broad range from the Utah Shakespeare Festival was one of our earliest partners, to the Levitt Group, Decor Works, Rainbow Sign and Banner, trying to think, the Intermountain Healthcare. Which other big ones am I missing? Several smaller tech companies in town, Epic Communications, GuardSite, TechUp. Others, there's Metalcraft and Cyberjet, to point to the aerospace engineering pathway that Matt mentioned, who are heavily involved in the development of that pathway. Any other specific ones to mention?
And these are just a few off the top of our heads. We haven't published a list of the full, everyone that's said they want to participate, only because we're still in the process of navigating exactly what they are willing to partner with us on. In addition, though, as we've done when we visited the other schools, we are still in the process of reaching out to businesses, local businesses, based on the feedback we got from your kids, which was genius, really, because as we presented to the kids were saying, oh yeah, well, my mom does this, or my dad has this company, and I want to learn how to do that too. What a great way to learn. So yeah, good questions. We just haven't published that list yet. I suppose Corey and I, we can talk about when the best time to publish that is, after we nail some things down. So
Yeah, very good. So yeah, if you've got ideas or thoughts of who you'd like us to connect with, or if you are a partner at a business who would like to connect with us, please send us an email. The chat is hard for me to manage all of them coming in right now, so I'd prefer if you have thoughts on that to send them directly to us via email. That would be great. So what I'll do, the next step here, is go into, just one second here, let me move forward. Kind of what we're planning to do to transform a school into a student-centered school. There are really a few key things. One is on transforming teaching and learning, how we approach that. The other is building a learner profile, which many of you have done already. We've had roughly a third of our students so far already complete their learner profile with Thrively that we sent out along with the invitation to this. I'll explain that later if you didn't see that. And then lastly, how do we reinforce these self-directed student behaviors so students can maintain engagement, can be on top of their work, and learn those behaviors, because we know those aren't innate and built into our students right now. So with that being said, a couple points on how have we thought to transform learning. One is on the role of instruction, from delivering instruction to really facilitating learning. And that's a shift that takes place and focuses more on the students and the teachers to help find learning materials to construct their knowledge instead of simply receiving it. through a classroom setting, as is mentioned in the third point. And instead, that learning can take place anytime, anywhere. This is a lot less standardized, a lot more personalized and differentiated to the student's path, pace, as well as their preferences. And instead of learning simply, without much context or application, we seek to have students really apply their knowledge. And at least 50% of their time should be spent on applying knowledge through projects in partnership with local businesses in an integrated fashion that's not segmented to like one subject area, but that can integrate many different facets. Of course, the only place we really learn one subject at a time is in school. And so we want to open that up and allow students to integrate several possibilities there and really be active in their learning. So that's a bit of what we've set out to do in transforming teaching and learning. The next piece on Thrively that I'll mention here for you is that we have sent out these instructions, which I will also put in the chat, hopefully. Let's see here if I can grab these. I will put them in the chat for you all. I might have to do that here in a minute, but to put those instructions in the chat available for you to join and build your learner profile. This is crucial for us because what we want to be able to see is each student, we want to know their interests, their skill sets, and their aspirations. So we can start to tailor our instruction and projects and things that we offer to students based on those things. And pair students up with those who, are interested in music, to pair them up to work on a project together that would correlate with their interests. So that's part of what we would like to do there with Thrively, and encourage you heavily to go to that website, thrively.com/registration. And there's a code to enter there, and then go through the 3 steps that it prompts you to go through, which is to select your interests, your career aspirations, and fill out the strengths assessment. So, and then lastly, what we would like to do is ask for your input on how we can incentivize students to learn the skills, really, to develop that student agency. Here are some of the things we'd like to reinforce, both positively and negatively, when it comes to building student agency and taking on the self-directed work that we'll want to see at the school. So what we'd like to see is, how do we incentivize students to take on those behaviors and build a positive reinforcement for those behaviors that we ultimately want to see them develop over time. And part of this reinforcement will be that we end up incentivizing students to use the points they earn from this reinforcement to ultimately earn incentives that we've given some examples on the right here, but it ultimately could be anything really that we, and with student input, would like to see incentivized. So students will actually earn like a weekly paycheck from this work, from their behavioral points that they've been awarded, and be able to spend that all through an app called Live School, which parents and students will both have access to. So they can track, again, those behaviors and also track their funds towards earning incentives. So that's a little bit about what we would like, what we have planned so far. And none of that's set necessarily in stone, that it will be set the way it is, but those are some things that we've decided that we'd like to do. I'd love to hear your input on that. What ideas do you have to help us develop a student-centered school, to develop these kind of self-directed traits in students? I'd love to hear from students as well as parents, but I'd love to hear from students as well. So turn the time over to you to give us those ideas.
So me personally, I really love the idea of the incentives, how that we have almost a reason to keep working, a reason to try, and a reason to get forward in our work so that we can do different things and have different privileges and incentives.
Thank you. Emma, are there certain things that you would like to see that would incentivize you you know, within reason. Obviously, $1 million prize is, well, Steve, I think, was going to put up $1 million prize. But beyond that, we'd like to see, you know, your input on what do we offer as incentives? What would be helpful to incentivize you at the school?
Well, I saw water balloon, Mr. Schofield, and I would love that.
So stoked. I'm glad.
Who put that on there?
That was me. But I've been seconded, and I think
Okay.
it's been approved by our body that we will actually continue with that one. So, you know, M's a great.
We actually did that at Southwest Education Academy last, yeah, I guess it was a year and a half ago. And gosh, was it February? It was cold outside. And I got an ear infection, an inner ear infection. I had it for like 2 months. I couldn't hear anybody. So, you know, I'm up for a water balloon fight just as much as the next guy, but it may not be in February. So.
Okay, so there's time constraints on the water balloons. I appreciate that, Mr. Schofield. Thank you. Other comments about how we develop student-centered school? Really, what things can we consider to allow students to lead, inform decisions, explore their passions, and develop those skills that will help them be self-directed?
In my personal opinion, I do like the idea of having those incentives, like being able to earn certain things. But since this is a business-oriented school, it seems almost a little childish. I do want to hear a lot of people's opinions on it, but rather than having my own motivation, you're forcing me to have motivation to get work done.
Good point. Good point. I recognize some of the comments too, where how do you tap into internal motivation? And I think that's really going to be key to being successful at Launch High School. For some students, that doesn't come as easily as it might for the student who just spoke. But I'm inspired by that. I think, you know, positive behavioral reinforcement is something that helps students to develop the habits and behaviors. I don't think exclusively a water balloon throw at Mr. Schofield is going to motivate you every day, although it may for some of you. And so,
Whatever it takes.
You know, we're willing to do whatever it takes. That's the bottom line. But I appreciate that comment, and we definitely need to focus on intrinsic motivation just as much, if not more so, than extrinsic motivation.
So I have a question about projects. So it's the project part of Launch High School sounds like pretty much the coolest and most interesting part of Launch from my perspective. And I'd like to know what kind of time frame these projects can be on. I feel like the more long-term the projects can be, the more engaged students could be. Although at the same time, if they're forced to have one that takes too long, then you could see them losing interest as well. But I'd like to see some student choice in the time frame of projects. Do they want to do like several small projects or one huge one, or you know, those types of things?
Yeah, so let me give you a little more detail about that. Very much in line with your comment, students do have a lot of choice in the scope of the project that they take on. And what will happen is students need to meet, of those 4 aspects of each course that they take on, they need to apply 2 of them through a project every quarter for every course. So generally, you're going to be taking 4 courses, 2 projects, or 2, you could do as many as 8 projects, really, right? 8 small projects that just cover one particular portion of a course. In contrast, you could do one very large project that's comprehensive of 8 pieces of all different courses, right? That takes you the entire quarter. That's the alternative. going beyond a quarter, there are some projects that will do that. In particular, our business partner projects that will take the course of a semester to really iterate with a business over time. But in general, they'll be part of the quarter credit process in each class. And so they could extend the length of a quarter and be the scope that a student would like to take on. They have that choice. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Other questions? I think I saw a little thing flagged that somebody's interested in the question. Go ahead.
So on the business partnership projects, is there like a certain grade level or a certain level of, I don't know, or I don't know, is there a certain level you have to be at in order to take on these business oriented projects?
No, not necessarily. And there's a couple different parts of what we'll do with businesses. One is the business partner project, which will actually be used towards, it'll be a semester in length or longer, and it will be used to earn CTE credit. And so that's one piece, and you could take that as early as your freshman year. The other is the idea of your curricular projects, where you're applying your curriculum to a project that you're passionate about. And those, again, no expertise or requirement, but you can reach out to a business that has the expertise that would be required for your project. So if you want to apply your chemistry project and you want to connect with our local fire department to learn about chemical fires and get their expertise about how to provide solutions that would limit the extent of chemical fires, you can reach out to them. We'll be helping you to do that with our partnership with the city, and you can get their input. So there's no time frame or limit or grade level that you need in order to be able to do that. You could do that your freshman year.
Okay, thank you.
There's definitely some upvoting for some solid lunches. I hope someone will take that on at our school, how to upgrade the lunch as a project. I love that. You know, in fact, a school I visited who's done this kind of work about design thinking projects that students take on, one of their students developed an app that allowed students to pre-order their lunches prior, so that the kitchen staff was well prepared, that they could offer a few more choices and ways to upgrade lunch. So making their lives easier was part of that because they're always in a guessing game at the cafeteria end about numbers and about how many lunches are going to be eaten. And so they improved that, and I thought that was an interesting thing. Maybe one of our students will be so ambitious as to take something like that on. Sounds like you've got a following if you do.
So are we just going to do the standard lunches then, like that we would do at our regular school?
Yeah, so we'll be taking the lunches they'll be prepared at the other schools. Obviously, we don't have a cafeteria, and we'll be bringing it to our school. So you can have the school lunch if you do the school lunch program. That's would just continue at launch. Of course, we also have on this side of town, Del Taco, Panda Express, Cafe Rio, Costa Vida. Should I stop? Lots of good options down here. And then I'm also speaking to somebody that asked about snacks. You can bring snacks. I don't know that we'd have a vending machine in our building. That's always a tricky thing when you also offer the school lunch program. They don't like us having the vending machine available. But yeah, you could eat in the building. You don't have to wait till lunchtime. You can bring something.
And that goes to answer the question about closed campus as well. Obviously, it's open. Students can leave for lunch.
Okay, so I saw in the comments a comment about our schedules. So when are we gonna get those? Like, when are we gonna know everything about like what we're gonna do at launch and everything?
Chris, are you out there?
Yep. So at the beginning, we covered this a little bit. By the end of the school year, normally at your boundary school, you'll get your next year's schedule like on the last day of school. So it'll be the last day of school probably where they will be available just through Power School. You can just view it through there. So that will be how you get your schedule.
Looks like there's some comments about what time school starts. Corey, I don't know that we had finalized the school start time. It'll be generally what similar to what the other schools start, maybe a little later, just because we're accommodating the bus schedule. So when you ride the bus and then you get there, that's when school would start. My guess is, don't quote me on this, it's probably going to be around 8:10, something like that. How am I going to get back and forth from Launch and Canyon View High? So you would you could, if you ride the bus to Canyon View, that would continue. And then from Canyon View, you'd get on another bus. That bus would take you to Launch High School. At the end of the day, another bus would come. You'd hop on that bus, and it would take you back to Canyon View High. You'd get off that bus at Canyon View and then get back on the other bus that needs to take you home. The bus does not work with Parowan, unfortunately. Sorry, Melinda.
So does that mean the launch days are shorter than regular days?
Yes, technically, because we'd have to accommodate for the bus schedule. But not by much. Don't celebrate. It's not going to be, oh yeah, it's a 2-hour day. No, it's still the same amount of work. We just cut off a few minutes at the beginning and the end of the day. So.
Hi, I probably missed this. Are we using Power School or Google Classrooms, or what's the platform that we're going to be doing online work on?
Yeah, so students will have their work available on Canvas, as well as all of their submissions will likely be through Canvas. Power School will be a place where we report on 2 things for every course, and you'll receive that report updated on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And those 2 things are the pace of the student and the progress that they've made in the class. So if your student is on pace to earn the quarter credit in time for the end of the quarter, then you'll receive a meeting expectations mark of, it'll be a 3 on pace. There's a scale next year in Power School that will be a 1 through 4 scale. And so we'll mark 3 would be on pace, 4 would be ahead of pace, 2 would be slightly behind pace, and 1 well behind pace. Progress likely the same thing. So those will be the ways we'll report in Power School and have work available in Canvas. Okay.
One of the concerns that I have found with Canvas during this homeschool, real school thing is so some of the teachers on the left side, there's like grades and assignments, and the teachers can choose what they want, like files and things. Hang on one second. Not all of the teachers had the same things. Like until recently, some of the teachers didn't even have the grades up. Another thing is that on Canvas, if you go to grades and then try to click on the assignment, it says no submission, and then you have to get through it a different way. So I have found, for me at least, Google Classroom is a lot more user-friendly and a lot more intuitive. So I just wanted to, if we do use Canvas, can we at least have the teachers have the same options over on the side so that we can find the grades, and we can, like, my kid's math teacher has the math assignments in assignments, but you actually have to go to the files to get to the PDFs. And it's really, I kind of stumbled on that one on accident. It was really unclear how to find all of the work on Canvas.
I understand what you mean. So here's the thing. We have gone through recently with all of our teachers. They've all submitted their courses to me, and I've actually gone through and given them feedback to make sure that they are very uniform, including the buttons on the left, including the structure of the course, labeling things so that it's really clear what students need to demonstrate proficiency in to move on. So we are very intentional about making that as clear as possible. And
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. I understand especially right now, as every teacher's kind of, one, put it together fairly quickly, right, for this crisis,
Yep.
and two, they've all done it in their own way. And that can be confusing for parents. We've consciously kind of done that ahead of hand to avoid that. So.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Well, I have a little question that I was wondering. I was in charge of the yearbook at my school, and I was wondering if Launch would even have their own.
Was that yearbook? Is that what I heard, Tate?
Yeah, I was in charge of the yearbook staff at my school, and I was wondering if that's something Launch would do, or is it just going to stick to our other school?
So you'll have them at the other schools for sure. You can buy those. I don't know, unless you're volunteering to head that project up. No,
I am
I don't know.
volunteering a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
I think it would be a pretty cool project if we, like, because in a little bit more detail, we would teach students how to use a software program called Photoshop, and we teach them how to kind of get into that and make pages. And we kind of voted all of our own book, and we like shared it with the school and publish it.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know some of the smaller schools in our school district, we have put together some form of a yearbook. It's not through I don't remember what the company is that they use at the other schools, but it's not a big, heavy bound book, but we can do something. Looks like we got 2 or 3 people willing to help with that. So,
and there's people that are talking about helping. I kind of know them a bit, so that's just an idea. If you ever,
it's a great idea. Tate, is that Tate that's talking?
Yep, Tate Ralphs.
Okay.
Noted. And I'll tell you, I had a business, actually, a local business in Southern Utah, who's beginning a project about personalized yearbooks, where students can take, several photos that are available from.
Oh yeah, I've done those before. Yeah.
And they can select their own, and so maybe that's some partner you may want to work with. We'll have to explore that further and see how.
All right. You can get back to me on that then.
Yeah, we'll do.
This is Amanda Casey, Elizabeth and Emma's mom. I am actually a professional photographer, and I am more than willing to help out with that in any way. I actually was on yearbook when I was in school, and Lizzie said that she may have an interest in participating as well. So if you need a parent volunteer to help coordinate that as well, I am more than willing.
Awesome. Thank you.
So just keep up with me on that, or I'll reach out to you guys.
That's cool. Thank you.
I get excited when you guys take so much initiative. This is awesome. We've had several proposals given to us including the yearbook and others. So we are excited about you guys taking the time. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut somebody off.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just wondering, my mom, she just recently graduated, and she went to an entrepreneurship thing that was with SUU. And I was curious because when I very first saw Launch, I was like, entrepreneurship, and that's what I've loved lately, like completely love it. So I was wondering if there was any correlation with that, because there was an entrepreneurship section at SUU. I would skip my 4th period class to go to that to listen to them talk.
Yeah, the directors at SUU Entrepreneurship, including Tyler Stillman, who's the director there, and others, the Dean of Business, have partnered with our school. So we'll actually be hosting some of those events next year as the plan, as well as allowing students to participate in those entrepreneurship series, speaker series. So that's certainly something that we highly want to encourage, as well as develop further those partnerships, including, you know, some of the things that I know they're planning to do with us is the entrepreneurship challenges, the high school challenge, to really help our students prepare well for that and potentially earn yourself some money. So,
yeah, I took second in one of those competitions, and so that means I don't have to skip class now, right?
You're good. You're set.
Awesome. All right, I do have one more question. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
There were core classes at Launch, like government, math, and physics, and then it said the projects, the CTE credits. I was just curious because you're saying that we're choosing our own projects for the classes. So I was just curious if that's, because that kind of seems the same as current high school, like, quota.
That you choose your projects for your classes in your current school, is that what you're saying?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little better to say on it.
Oh, no, I guess to reiterate what he's saying, when we were talking to Chris, and she is phenomenal, by the way, kudos to you, Chris. But when we were talking core classes, it was basically you go to class, and the thing, James and I were talking after we talked to her, and it just sounded like it was kind of just like going to class and doing the same thing in your regular classroom, in your regular high school, except you get to choose your project. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's really different other than choosing the project. Like, why is it different really? Like what other things are they really going to be engaged in that's going to help them in an entrepreneurship mind or whatever business they decide to go into?
Yeah, good question. So there are a lot of things that'll be quite a bit different at Launch High School, including the fact that there will rarely be a time where students are required to go to class unless they are behind in pace and progress. So the idea of taking on the work that you need to take on and self-directing your day, clocking your time for productivity in your work, all of that will be kind of that push to help you become more self-directed and build initiative like you would as a self-starter in your own business. But then the design thinking projects are actually, the design thinking process is embedded in each one of your projects. And that's a process that business leaders use all over the world to really empathize with the users who are going to use their products and understand them, be inspired by their needs, and then go through a process of ideation and prototyping, and then ultimately implementing that with a real audience. That's the process, that inspiration, ideation, and implementation will be the process of every project you take on at Launch High School. And so it's not only the choice in projects, but also the process in which you'll participate in those projects. And there's a lot more. I could talk a lot longer about it and be happy to some other time.
When it comes to English, are they going to still have like reading requirements and certain like books and stuff that they're going to have to actually read and report on and stuff like that? Or are they able to pick and choose and just have a, you know, a specific way of like they have to analyze a book of their choosing? Or how does that kind of stuff work? Because I know there's in school they have those, you know, curriculum requirements when it comes to different books that they have to read.
Yeah, so our teachers who developed the curriculum have developed it with particular literature in mind in some cases. However, knowing our teachers, and they voiced this to me as well, they are willing to depart from that if need be for select students. Generally, students would take on similar literature, but they would be open to different options as long as they're able to tie the same aspects of curriculum into those pieces of literature. And so there is some option for differentiation, personalization there, but there are also, as you mentioned, core curricular standards that we need to meet within our courses, and some of that will be in part with literature. So.
And
Hey, Cor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know when we did the walkthrough, I believe there was mention about a section where they will have tools for like science experiments and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah.
Is that still going to be like a thing? Are they going to have, what kind of tools are they going to have at their disposal for that kind of stuff on campus?
There's going to be a lot. You're going to be excited about it when we open up and finish here, but everything from your hand tools, your manual tools, hammer, screwdriver, the like, to 3D printers, laser engravers, fabric cutters. I mean, the world will be at your disposal a little bit. There's a lot to offer there in the makerspace at launch. And we'll always be adding things based on the needs of our students and interests of our students and teachers. So there will be a lot there for sure. Steve, did you want to mention something?
I was just gonna say, I didn't know where we were on the agenda, but as pertains to the makerspace, aka Launchpad, I've got a couple of photos that people wanted to see where we're coming along. That I took yesterday.
Share right now? Is that what you're saying, or you want to like?
Yeah.
People? Yeah.
No, I can pull them up real quick if you want.
I'm sure people would like that.
Are we about there?
Yeah, we're about at time, and so of course, anytime you need to leave, people, you're welcome to scoot out. We understand that you know, your time is important and valuable. So if you need to scoot out, that's fine. If you'd like to stick around and ask more questions or see some of the pictures Mr. Schofield has, you're welcome to.
So here's one facing the northwest. So they've got some tile. About a third of the building will be tile. Am I?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can hear you.
Thank you. Third of the room is tile, and then the rest of it is carpet, and there's a stage. I'll show you that in a minute. We've got some cabinets over here that were behind me from that other angle. So here's the stage over here, about the middle of the screen. Just a raised platform where people will be presenting thoughts, ideas, and there'll be an open mic every Friday for a bit of stand-up for those that are interested. I'm just kidding. Maybe. I don't know. So yeah, it's coming along. These were taken yesterday. I went up there just before this meeting started, and they've got just about all of the carpet down. There's some stuff right here in the middle of the room that you see, that those are ceiling tiles that you can see the grid is on, but they've got to pop the tiles in, and then we are just about there. We've got some furniture in the main lobby of the building that just Corey and I unloaded a couple of days ago. Are you sore, Corey?
A little.
I'm not.
I'm going to mention it, but
that's just, yeah, well, you know, it was nothing. No, a lot of stuff. We're excited to fill this room. It's going to be awesome. So anyhow.
Very cool. Very cool. We're really excited about how that's coming along. And we'll give you either an open house tour before school starts, or a video or something to let you kind of get a grasp of what it looks like and how to look and feel before we get started for the school year. Other questions?
I have another question. So we were talking about internships and everything. Is there a difference between partnerships when they're working on projects and their internships? And is there a certain grade level they have to be at before they can actually do a traditional internship with the company?
Yeah, internships are generally for students who are in the 11th and 12th grade. At least that's how they've been done in Iron County. However, that being said, that's something we can discuss further. In fact, even students' grade level is kind of a thing that's in flux, really. If a student is flying through their curriculum and they're taking junior or senior English language arts, when they would normally be a sophomore in school, what grade level are they? You know, it's kind of a interesting question. And so that's something to consider further and work through with our work-based learning coordinator. Her name is Karen Johnson, and she'd be happy to take an email from you, Karen with a K, Johnson, like JOHNSON, that you can email her at ironmail.org. So,
Corey, I was thinking back to the how to inspire students to actually get their work done and to care about things. And I was thinking maybe if they're struggling, for example, in math, they could go and visit with the person that they're working with their project and find out why or how math is actually important for that business, or with whatever subject. And I was thinking that way they could see some real world application, and then they would actually care. Because if people are like, algebra sucks and I'm never going to use it, or fractions, I use fractions all the time with cooking. It's a daily thing. So I was thinking if they're struggling with a certain thing that we know someone who uses that in the real world, that could actually inspire them to care and help them understand how it applies.
yeah, I think two things that we'll really find with students who have been maybe traditionally unengaged by certain subject areas, that we're hoping some things that will help them. One is that they'll take on projects that they're interested in, right? So as they apply the content, they'll do it into something that they're already interested in. Whether it's, for me, Canadian guy, likes to play hockey. What angle does the puck need to leave my stick in order to get up in the top corner, right? If it's from something as simple as that to, of course, connecting it to real applications, probably a little deeper than just, how do I shoot a hockey puck? And doing that with a real authentic audience and an expert partner that's local in our community. Hoping those two things, one, their interests, and two, the authentic application of the work, really helps students to become not just engaged, but empowered in their learning. So.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, thank you for that. Other questions as we've got a few of you here. Go ahead, Tate.
I'm gonna jump back to the yearbook thing really quick. I had 2 people just email me about it, wanting to be a part of it, but like, not that I want it to be like pressured, but it's just kind of a cool opportunity to kind of play with the software and kind of learn how to use the computers on those things and stuff though. But if that's something that's interested in by you and Steve, then yeah.
Thanks, Tate. We've got your number.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you for putting out your email there. Sounds like you've got a following ready to help. So we're excited about that.
Of course.
Other questions, comments, concerns, feedback?
Can we help with the interior design of the building or no?
Hey, Bria, I saw your question
That would be so
there.
much fun.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Well, there will certainly be some spaces that we would like to have students help us to design. One of those is our wellness space. We'll be talking about that actually the first week of school with students. But beyond that, I think we'll always be open to things that we can do a little bit differently within the means that we have and the pieces we have there. It's just something that we'll have to have a conversation about. Steve, do you have any thoughts, input on how that might be possible for students? We did get a little bit of our input from people last time about the logo and the color scheme, which will be incorporated into the makerspace. The black, the gray, the purple that you'll see come in with some of the furniture. But yeah, other comments, Mr. Schofield?
As far, I mean, we've had some furniture ordered, and that needs to be assembled, and things like that. As far as where that goes, and is that the kind of thing you're referring to, Bree?
Yeah, things like that, or just like where we put stuff on the walls and such. But I mean, it's obviously it's up to you guys what we can and can't do. But
well, it's not really up to us. It's up to the fire marshal, right?
A little bit, yeah.
As we've learned throughout this whole process of finishing this makerspace. So for us, you know, we look at it every day, and it's nice to see things coming along. But yeah, there were some specific things that we couldn't do that we wanted to, but we're totally open for ideas. So as we start putting things together, and you know, as far as what goes on the wall and what goes with what, we'd love the feedback.
Yeah, I am.
We'd like
curious.
student involvement.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just curious. My mom had a studio, and she had everybody that came sign the wall. And so I was curious, would that be possible to have us just like sign a blank wall?
That sounds really cool.
It was very cool because all of my students, I had hundreds of students in my performing arts school, and I had hundreds of people right on the wall, and we called it the Wall of Fame. It was really cool. And so your first year signing that would be very cool.
That would be fun. Here's the thing though, everyone that's listening, no writing on walls until we have a designated wall for you to write on. I just want to be clear.
I have another question about like using the walls. I was thinking, and it would be really cool if like there were a bunch of art kids who made like a mural on one of the walls, because that would be really cool for decorating, and it would like leave a mark on the school. So would that maybe be possible?
Absolutely. Yeah.
we are the first students to be at this school, so I do feel like we should leave some sort of piece of us for the beginning.
Agreed.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Bree, I'm not an interior designer whatsoever, so you could help out with my counseling office decor if you would like. I would welcome anything. Steve? No, don't
No, this is, no, go ahead, Chris. That's good.
I would totally love to help you out with that. I just did a little celebration dance, so.
Hey, I'll take you up on that.
That's cool.
I think you guys should have lots of plants too, because plants, they help clean the air, they help people be happier. It feels more like you're outside instead of stuck in a building.
Good thought. There are also like a ton of windows in that one makerspace area. And so, you know, lots of light, plants, art on the walls. It sounds like it's coming together pretty nice. So
Could definitely do that in the wellness area with the plants for sure.
agreed.
Is there anything in the works for the students that are more on like that enjoy art more, that that want to express themselves in that way? Because I know we're talking a lot about, you know, core classes and that stuff when it comes to their academics, but we do have obviously we have a lot of kids that are interested in the arts and creative stuff that way. So is there going to be anything that can help with that?
I think he's still here, and if he is, he's welcome to speak up. But our CTE teacher, as well as our person who will help students design their projects and will be in the makerspace to help students to really make impressive work, is actually a former art teacher. And so that was his job right before this. He's taught art at Dixie State. He's got his master's in art. Excellent art teacher. He'll be there to help students design their work and actually take them through commercial art design work as well, if that's something they're interested in. So we're excited about Mr. Lyman, who will be that teacher. And in addition to working with local partners like the Shakespeare Festival and the Performing Arts, you know, to really emphasize that work if students are interested in it.
Yes, plenty of opportunity for creative engagement. I'm trying to avoid speaking up because last time on one of these, I shouldn't have. So yes, plenty of visual acuity.
Well, we are about 15 minutes past where we're going to be, so we'll probably wrap this up officially here shortly, but we could take a couple more questions. I know there's some coming in the chat here as well. I'll try to address any of those.
I tried to keep up, but it's just too much. Too many questions. I couldn't answer them all. Great questions, though.
There is a question about how do we foster both creativity and vulnerability within those students who are most reserved. And so that's a great lens. That's a question we'll have to discuss further and see how we can do that. If you have ideas on that, we'd be happy to hear that. Luckily, the school, one of those things that will be helpful to students in that situation is how small the school is, how many adult to students ratio we have to really kind of emphasize those smaller group discussions, those one-on-one conversations, those things that are a little more tangible, as well as the digital means to make conversation happen. I like what we see here in the chat. Those who are maybe unwilling to speak up with their voice are happy to do so in a chat. And so we'll want to take advantage of all those tools and resources at the school. Other ideas would be welcome too, though.
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
My daughter and I are relocating from Salt Lake to join Launch. Who is going to be my best resource and contact? Because it's very difficult from here to be able to do that. And I know we're all on an online world right now, but I also work in healthcare, so my hours are extremely long at work right now. So who's my best contact to keep involved and to make sure that Chloe is where she needs to be and what she needs to be doing?
Corey, can I answer to that at least partially?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you and I have communicated through email a little bit, if I remember correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
First step, and I haven't looked to see if you have pre-registered her through, I believe it was Cedar. Is it Cedar or Canyon View?
Her border school is Canyon View, but she's really pushing to try to transfer into Cedar.
Okay, if that's the case, you'll need to go through the district for the what's called an in-district transfer. So if you don't live in the boundaries of Cedar High, you have to get permission to go to that school.
Right.
So that would be my first suggestion, is to contact the school district. And Corey, I don't know what that process it looks like necessarily up there, but get that in place. And then whatever school she's going to do her electives at, you'll need to get her pre-registered there, because I can't do anything with a schedule. Nothing really can happen until that step happens. So that just requires a birth certificate, immunizations, and she's just going to be a freshman. Is that right?
Sophomore.
Oh, sophomore. So transcript would be needed as well. So those three things to get pre-registered at either Cedar or Canyon View, they'll be the same. So
And is that something that I can do online, or is that something I need to
it is. Well, you can talk to, if you want to write down, Cedar High School registrar is Bonnie Matheson.
Okay.
And Canyon View is Joyce Edwards, just in case. But she can visit with you over the phone, and she can just have you fax in or scan and email in the documents, and she can get it done. So you don't necessarily have to be here.
Okay. All right. That answers quite a bit and gives me a place to start. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then once she's in, if you have more questions, then I will be taking over and making her schedule and all that stuff. So then it'll be me probably that you'll want to contact.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So with the COVID-19 and everything, like I'm looking at this stuff and hoping for optimistic things, but if we get into the winter and then all of the restrictions come back and everything, what is that going to look like for parents when they're at school and the teachers are like, oh, let's focus on your strengths, and they're going that direction, and then the kids come home and they all have kind of a different route that they're taking. Are you guys kind of prepared for like online homeschool if that becomes an issue?
Yeah, I think we're pretty well prepared, given that the majority of the content and coursework is available through Canvas, and as well as much of the work that we'll do with mentoring students could be done through video conferencing, as well as connecting with business partners, could be done through video conferencing. The one challenge will be really giving students the materials or working space that they would want, and that will likely be a lot more limited if we're forced to go to a remote only instruction in the fall or winter. So I think we're well poised if that happens. We are hoping it does not. So there was a question from David, Jordan, and some others about when do we need to go to class. There is one classroom in the building, and that classroom is designated for students who are not keeping pace or making adequate progress, or both, I should say, in their coursework. It's also available as a space for small group tutoring and other things, and there are many other spaces available for small group tutoring. But so in essence, to go to class is required only for those that classroom is only required for those who are behind pace and progress. However, to come to school and to be in the space to work is a requirement for all students. We expect students to attend school. We expect them to be there to work on their projects, to get the mentorship they need from teachers, as well as to pass off their proficiency demonstrations to show that they understand the content in a proctored environment, whether that's a test or project or what have you. So hopefully that helps understand. A student who is well ahead of pace and progress in all their classes or on pace does not need to attend the set hour for English, math, science, social studies. Hopefully that helps answer that question. And there was also a question about equipment operation. And so hopefully what I'm understanding is that's somebody who wants to see us involve applications and partnerships with those who are in that space, so students can apply their learning to that space. We would love that. If you have any recommendations, Colby, how we could do that or who we could connect with, we'd be happy to hear that. Otherwise, I'm surprised that 43 of you have hung on this long. You must be a passionate group. We're excited to have you. This is just an exciting time to be in education. We're excited to work with each of you students. Anything else you'd like to say, Chris or Steve, as we close out?
Stay home, stay safe.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by email. We've received emails, several from myself, from Chris, likely from Steve as well. You're welcome to reach out to us and contact us. Please take a moment, if you have not already, to complete your learner profile in Thrively. The instructions were sent in the chat as well as an email on Monday this week that indicated the day you would attend launch. So please do that. And if you have further ideas or things you'd like to discuss in a future meeting, we'd be happy to do so. I don't know if we'll be holding another meeting before the school year starts, unless it's an open house or something along those lines. So we'll be in contact with you more as we get into the start of the school year.
Hey,
So,
Corey.
yeah.
All of the links that you mentioned that were going to be on this chat, are you also going to send them via email?
So the Thrively link we sent already on Monday. And I don't know if there was another one that we put in the chat today.
Or the files or something. You said something that would be on the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it was. I added the Thrively link to the chat as well in case somebody wanted to access it quickly. But I don't think I put anything else in there. So you should have access to that in your email. But if you don't, you feel free to email me and I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
No problem. Okay. Sayonara, and we'll have this recording for those who would like it. If there's somebody you know that would like this recording, feel free to have them reach out. I will put my email in the chat here for those who need it to send in questions. And Steve has done the same.
I won.
You did. Beat me, man. I was talking. No fair. And you're not even sore for moving all that furniture.
I know. It's a gift.
What can I say?
Okay, see you guys.
Okay, thank you. See ya.